Hello and welcome to Oral Communication Week 2. This week's lesson is very much interesting and exciting because this week we're going to talk about the features of effective communication. So, according to businessjargons.com, effective communication is communication between two or more persons wherein the intended message is successfully delivered, received, and understood. So, in order for us to consider a communication effective, our message should be delivered, received, and understood. If it's not one of the three, then we cannot say that the communication has been effective. Everybody dreams of being an effective speaker. Every one of us wants to be understood, right? However, there are many things to consider to be one. So using your own discernment as a speaker is not enough as basis if the message is successfully delivered. So, communication is effective when all parties, the sender and the receiver, in the communication process give similar meaning and understanding to everything which has been discussed. So if the sender and the receiver understand each other, then we can say that the communication is effective. So effective communication does just not cover the verbal communication. It also covers non-verbal communication. So the capacity to comprehend your own emotion, involvement in talking and listening, etc. Let's continue. By the way, this lecture is a bit long, so I will be breaking it down into parts. So there are seven C's in communication. So I'll be making seven small videos so that you can really focus on understanding each C in the communication. Okay. So here are the 7 C's. So we have completeness, conciseness, consideration, concreteness, courtesy, clearance, and correctness. So for this video, for this part of for this section, I will be just focusing on completeness. So, completeness. Complete communication is essential to quality of the communication process in general. It's very important that our message comes across as complete. Hence, communication should include everything that the receiver needs to hear for him to, or her to respond, react, or evaluate. Sometimes there is a tendency for us who are the one initiating the conversation or we are the sender, um, not to give all the facts or all the details. Okay, so sometimes we skip through it. Sometimes we think that it's already understood, that they know already what we're talking about, but sometimes our receiver, the persons we're talking to, do not have a clue what we're talking about. So it's important to be complete. Okay, so message is complete when it contains all facts the reader or listener needs for the reaction you desire. So, for example, you want to buy something from someone online. So, um, the seller should communicate to you all the things that you need to know about the product, the terms of payment, what about the delivery, and so on and so forth. So it has to be complete in order for the communication to be effective. So communication sender needs to assess their message through the eyes of the receiver to ensure that they have included all relevant information. So it is the responsibility of the sender or the speaker to ensure that all the needed information are included in your message. So provide all necessary information, answer all questions asked, and give something extra when desirable. So, let's focus first on the provide all necessary information. How do we know that we have provided all necessary information? So, these are some points that you can consider. Give all details which is necessary for complete, accurate understanding. So, not just say something and leave it at that. Ensure that your receiver, your listener, the people that you're trying to communicate with, has a clear idea of the whole message, meaning that no detail is missed when you are constructing or when you are speaking or when you are communicating. So, one way to make your message complete is by asking the 5W questions. So, what are the 5W questions? So, the who, what, when, where, and why. And another essential is the how. So these are useful for making requests, announcement, or other informative messages. So when you're making an announcement or you're you're trying to communicate something, make sure that you cover this 5 W's and 1 H so that it's very clear what you want to say. Let's continue. So, for example, you want to reserve a hotel banquet room. For example, there is an event, there is a wedding, or there is a party that you are organizing. So, you have to specify the accommodation needed. Would you need the whole restaurant, the portion of the restaurant, or the portion of the hall? Okay, and then where? Or do you need catering? Do you need a sound system? So these are the what of in this particular scenario. Where? So where are you gonna hold this event? Okay, who is going to be in the event? Who is going to settle the bills? Who is the guests? So you have to be clear about that. And then and when, the date and the time of the event, and why. Why this event? What is this event for? So it's if it's for a birthday, the setup will be different than if it's for a wedding, right? Or if it's seminar, it would be different. So the why is also very important, and other necessary details like how is the parking, how many parking spaces are available, um, h- and other important details that the event might or the venue and guests, all the people involved might need. So this is just an example of the what, where, who, when, and why, and the how. So next, answer all questions asked. So whenever you reply to an inquiry, try to answer all questions. Sometimes the inquiry would be not just one question. Oftentimes in a job interview, they give you a lot of question and then they give you a chance to answer all these questions at once. Okay, so try to understand first what is the question, what is being asked of you. Okay. Um, a colleague or a customer's reaction to an incomplete reply may lead to a bad impression. If you don't answer the questions that the question that is being asked of you, um, it might leave a bad impression to the person asking you the question. One, they might think that you are not knowledgeable. Two, they might think that you're hiding something. Three, they might think that you're not competent. You cannot understand a simple question. So it's important that you answer the question completely. One way of doing this, a tip for you, is to paraphrase the question. Okay, like so that the person asking you a question knows that you understand the question in the first place. For example, your employer, your future employer would ask you, so how do you see yourself in 5 years? So how do you paraphrase that so that the interviewer will know that you understand the question? You can say that in 5 years' time, I would be, and then you continue the um, answering the question. So paraphrasing or giving back the question to your interviewer. Um, is very important so that they know that you are on the same page, because sometimes you ask one question and that person answers totally different thing, and that makes for a bad interview, especially for a job interview. So, this is another reason that I talked about earlier. Omission casts suspicion. If you omit something from your answer intentionally or unintentionally, it might make the other person think that you are lying, okay, or you're hiding something from him. So make sure that you answer the question completely and honestly. If you don't have a particular information, say so clearly. We cannot have all the information at once, okay? For example, you're working at a store, and then the customer asks, do you have this product? And, or does this phone, for example, you're trying to sell a phone, okay? Does this phone have this feature? But you're not familiar with the phone because it's just launched. So it's okay to say that you don't have the details at the moment, but that you are willing and able and excited to learn to get that information available for him. Okay, so that will not make you any less. Um, that will not affect um, your image that you're trying to project to your customer. Again, you have to be honest. If we don't know the answer, we tell that person that as of the moment, I don't have that information, but I'm very much willing to get that information available for you. Okay? And then you follow through. You get that information and then you give it to him. Next, if you have an unfavorable information, handle it with honesty and tact. Um, unfavorable information or information that might give a negative reaction um, from the other person, right? So it's important that even if you know that they won't like the answer, that you still are honest. Okay. For example, a friend just bought a new T-shirt, and the fit is not good. The color doesn't suit him, but he asks you, "Hey, do you like my new T-shirt?" And if you give your honest opinion about the T-shirt, then he might feel offended, right? But if you handle it with honesty and tact, then you might still be able to get out of that tricky situation. So how will you answer that? For example, it doesn't fit him well and the color doesn't suit him. So what would you say? Oh, the you can do it by first. Number one is giving up something positive about the t-shirt. Okay, so oh, the design is really cool, you know. Okay, so that's one way of making the your friend feel good about the purchase. But I think does it could you could be a size a bit or a size higher, like medium or large. Okay, so although um although you complimented him at first, you're still being honest that it doesn't fit him. The t-shirt is too big or too small for him. So it's not his size. So I think it would be better if you got a size bigger or smaller. So that is a way to be honest about what you feel, but also be tactful, not to hurt his feeling because you like the design, right? Okay, next. So, this is another example. So, a software distributor, when replying to a dealer's letter, answered only 4 out of the 7 questions. So, because the original questions were unnumbered and someone buried in a 5 long paragraph. So, the respondents overlooked or disregarded 3 of them. There is a typo. Okay, there's a typo. Sorry. My bad. So, the reply, unfriendly and incomplete, caused the distributor to lose the business and goodwill of a potential customer. So, it's very important that you answer questions, okay? Especially in the business setting, it could cost you orders, or cancellations. Okay, so be very mindful, especially with communicating with your customers or your clients. Okay, let's continue. So, the solution: list the needed details from the inquirer on a reply form that the inquirer can fill out and return to you. In this way, both of you, both your answer and that of the respondents will be complete. So, make down lists. If it's something really important for you, then writing down the list and answering it point by point will be very helpful. In face to face interaction, when you don't have time to write down the question, be very attentive of what is being asked of you so that you're taking a mental note of the questions that you need to answer and you're preparing how to answer them in your mind. I would suggest that um, you do it in a particular order as it is asked so that you don't forget anything. Let's continue. Okay, so that's it for completeness. I will see you again in my next video. We will be talking about conciseness. Okay? See ya. Bye bye.